Hello, it's Glavian, and from the shadows I emerge, and from the shadows I've been watching. Don't you think, for a moment, that I haven't been paying attention to what's been going on in Final Fantasy XIV? And it seems to me like the Dark Lord Zepla herself put out a video, a very, very divisive video. Then again, what isn't divisive when it comes to topics about Final Fantasy XIV? And in this video, she titles it Endwalker, bad. Endwalker is a bad expansion. Endwalker is the worst Final Fantasy XIV expansion that there's been. Now, what I've noticed from the response to this video is we have players who kind of fit into two camps. It kind of reminds me of a cautionary tale. Let me talk to you real quick about a game called Path of Exile. Path of Exile, when it came out, was a very slow game. It was a very clunky game. It was a very challenging game. And as time went on, and as patches were added, and as seasons were added to that game, the game got faster and faster and faster paced. And the players got stronger and stronger and stronger. And so to prevent power creep, GGG, the developers of Path of Exile, what they did was they implemented some nerfs into the game. And much like this discussion about Endwalker being a bad expansion, being divisive, this too was divisive. Half of the community said, well, I hate the fact that I'm weaker. I hate the fact that you nerfed my favorite build. I hate the fact that I'm slower. How dare you slow down this gameplay? The Zoomers were not happy. Meanwhile, the Boomers, who've been playing Path of Exile for a decade at that point, were so happy to see that the game started feeling like it did back when it came out. It was slower, it was clunkier, and things felt harder, and there was more deliberate choices you had to take. And so when it comes to the topic of whether or not Endwalker is a bad expansion, we also have two camps. On one side, we have the one-game Andes who want to play one game and one game only. And then you have the other camp of players who are, variety gamers. Me personally, I'm a variety gamer. And so you'll hear different opinions from these two camps. Now, before I continue, I want to talk real quick about why would someone want to be a one-game Andy? And there are some good reasons for this. First and foremost, you have the idea, the game design philosophy that is almost exclusive to MMOs, of being able to compound progress on one character for a decade or longer. And some people just like that appeal. Some people, they want to spend time on one character and one character only and continuously grind it out and continuously progress it. And so they can feel like 5 years later, 7 years later, the progress they made, the work they did 7 years ago still counts for something today. And some people like this. Additionally, there was a controversy that came out yesterday about Rotten Tomatoes. And Rotten Tomatoes is this movie review site. And it was exposed, it was discovered, a lot of people already knew this, but now there was proof that some of the people, some of the professional critics who write reviews for this website have been getting paid off to do so. They've been getting paid to write reviews. And so it's hard to find new things. That's why I bring that up. You can't really trust reviews. It's hard to really tell which games are going to be good. You might be wasting your time. You might be wasting your money trying new things. Some people just don't want to do that. Some people would rather stick with good old faithful. Some people ask, why would I go to that brand new restaurant when I could just go to Subway? Subway's fine. What's wrong with Subway? I've been eating Subway for decades now. So that's the second reason why. Now, a third reason why is some people are just socializers. They like that community feeling. And for there to be that sense of community and for there to be that sense of relationships being fostered, it requires a game to kind of be in this permanent state, this game that you're playing consistently across a long period of time. And so those are the three main reasons why some people would prefer to be one-game Andes. And so are the one-game Andes being treated the way that they were in previous expansions? It seems to me that that's not the case. From my discussions with people are upset that there's no Baja or Eureka alternative in Endwalker. There's no new trials like the Ruby weapon. And there's no chase items in previous expansions such as Shadowbringers. If you got all your characters to max level, there was a chase item you get at the end. And so it gave some long-term item to chase for, and people feel like that's less of the case in Endwalker. There's less of these items. And so how did this happen? How did this end up being the case? Well, it's really impossible to tell, but I would assume that considering that the team that works on Final Fantasy XIV is the same team that worked on Final Fantasy XVI. Final Fantasy XVI took some precedence over the post-Endwalker expansion patches. And I think for that reason, there was some slowdown. Now, to add fuel to the fire, you have the problem of Island Sanctuary. I remember when Island Sanctuary came out, everyone loved it. And Island Sanctuary is still something and that people like, and it's content that people enjoy. Now, the problem with Islands, right? The problem with Island Sanctuary is that it puts players more and more and more into this solo instance content and further away from the feel of a world. And for, you know, variety gamers like myself who like playing a bunch of different games, that will play a game for a little bit, put it down, maybe pick it up later, not a big deal, right? I'll go play something else, which is exactly what I've been doing. But for other people, for the one game Andes, this is a problem because a lot of them play because they're socializers. They want to be stuck there with that community for an extended period of time. And if everyone is constantly in their island, it no longer feels like an MMO. And they're playing an MMO because they like MMOs, right? It makes sense. And people have been comparing it to the Warlords of Draenor expansion that came out for World of Warcraft, where they had garrisons, and what ended up happening with garrisons is it funneled people into these solo instances exactly in the same way that Endwalker has done with Island Sanctuary, right? And so this is a problem, right? People play the game to be social. This has made it less social, and to add injury to insult, to add even more fuel to that fire, you end up with a snowball effect, where there's less people in the open world, people play so that they can interact and encounter people in the open world. So then less people play, and then when less people play, less people are in the open world, and so then less people play, and it creates this snowball effect, this issue, right? And so Islands, despite it being content that people seem to generally enjoy and be favorable towards, have created the situation. Now, who isn't having any of these problems? Of course, it's Sprouts, and this is one thing that the game still does well till this very day, that you can go into the game and have evergreen content. Unlike World of Warcraft, you can go into the game and you could enjoy A Realm Reborn in 2023. You could enjoy Heaven's Ward in 2023. Content stays relevant, and that's good. But a lot of people who stick to this game are obviously veterans and have tons of hours into the game, and they kind of want to be one-game Andes, which, like I said, is fine. I think Zepla herself is a one-game Andy, and that's why she's had a lot of this concern herself, right? And you can see this being the case with Zepla, because even when she's not streaming Final Fantasy XIV, she's on her alt playing World of Warcraft. She's an MMO Andy at heart, an MMO fan at heart, and she wants to kind of progress in a Second Life simulator, right? And, you know, there are reasons to do that, like I've discussed. And so what's the solution? What are the one-game Andies going to do? Honestly, I have no idea. The variety gamers, they're hanging out, they're playing different things. You know, my FC told me that they were playing different things. I have friends who even maintain their sub because they have a house, so they're out playing different things. It's fine for variety gamers, and that's why some of the sentiment is like, it's fine, what are you complaining about? And you also have Sprouts that have so much content ahead of them that they're also like, it's fine, what are you complaining about? But it's the veterans. It's the people who have 1K, 5K, 10K hours into the game over a span of years that are really hurting here. What's there to do? I guess cross your fingers and hope that Dawn Trail's better. And that's all I had to say for this one. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.